Security! Garbage! Take the trash out! Take the trash out!
Just when you think things can't get crazier, Seattle somehow finds a way. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, your home for independent and nonpartisan commentary and analysis on politics, media, internet culture, and more. We're going to talk about the big culture war story that's going viral right now, about this insane confrontation and scene that happened at a WNBA game in Seattle. Now, rewinding a little bit here, a WNBA player, Sophia Cunningham, she sparked a dialogue by recently coming out against, with a very reasonable and frankly pretty moderate and diplomatically worded, she put out a statement against biologically male athletes in women's sports, the whole trans athlete debate. And of course, this has sparked all this backlash, but also it's gotten her some new fans and supporters, some of whom went to a game in Seattle where she was playing as the away team. She is, I believe, Caitlin Clark's teammate with the Indiana Fever. Again, not a WNBA guy here, but more power to them. Anyway, so these fans showed up, these young girls, with signs in support and wearing gear like merch from this organization that is a pro, I don't know what you would call it, biological reality group, right? And the shirts that say XX women's sports. Anyway, this did not go over well, and they were subject to this insane confrontation, including apparently from a co-owner of this Seattle team. We're going to get into all of it and the latest updates, which have now come out, that finally a little bit of accountability, maybe, but the leak footage here as well is actually crazy. Anyway, first, we're going to watch some reporting from Fox 13 in Seattle. Let's watch.
The Seattle Storm and majority owner Ginny Gilder have issued an apology after an incident at Tuesday night's Storm game against the Indiana Fever, where minority owner Celeste Keaton allegedly used an expletive to describe two of Fever guards Sophie Cunningham's supporters. Gilder's statement reads, "We are aware of one of our co-owners made comments to two fans in attendance at last night's game. We apologize that this happened. Everyone who attends a Storm game deserves to feel welcome, and we remain committed to creating an inclusive environment where every fan is treated with respect." The incident occurred Tuesday night when two 16-year-old fans were sitting courtside at the Storm Fever game, wearing XXXY Athletics shirts and holding a sign that said, "Thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls."
The horror.
Cunningham has recently been in the news for her stance on trans women playing sports, saying, quote, "I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men." Unquote. XXXY Athletics calls itself the only athletic brand that stands up for women, and its logo corresponds with the biological sex chromosomes that typically determine a person's sex.
Okay, sorry, but we do have to start with this. These are two 16-year-old girls. And spoiler alert, but the adults crashing out at children usually aren't the good guys, really, in most contexts. Maybe you could find some example, but especially when you view it in the context of how relatively anodyne and uncontroversial their attire and signs actually were. I mean, I think the trans debate can get ugly and nasty towards trans people sometimes, which I don't support, even though I fully agree with the, non-woke opinion on particularly trans sports, but a lot of these issues. However, that's not what these girls did, right? Their sign says, "Thank you for standing up for women's sports." Their shirts just say XXXY. There's no insults, pejoratives, nasty attacks, or anything that should prompt you to lose your ever-loving mind about people simply expressing the 80 side of an 80-20 issue that favors biological reality over, I don't know, people's subjective self-identity and whims. Yeah, that's actually insane that you as a grown adult, let alone the co-owner of a team, would crash out on two teenagers publicly over this, cuss them out, behave in such an unprofessional and reprehensible way, all because what? You can't sit with the existence of civil disagreement? Like, you belong in a padded room then, lady. That's a you problem. Really, and even if these girls had something horrific on their sign, right? Or were breaking some sort of rule, which I don't believe they were, and they certainly didn't. But even in that, like, hypothetical scenario, the appropriate thing to do as the co-owner or as any fan that was bothered by it would be to, like, bring it to the attention of the people, employees, and have them, ask them to take down the sign or what have you. There's no need to crash out on people, let alone 16-year-olds. Like, that's just such disgusting behavior, but it also shows you what a crazy echo chamber these Seattle left-wing people must live in, where this is somehow some sort of, like, shocking thing for them to hear or be exposed to. They must live in quite the bubble. Really. There's an ideological civil war inside the Democratic Party, and the far left is winning. The primary election for the Senate nomination in Michigan is a great example of this ongoing struggle. Yet according to our channel partners at Kalshi, the far left candidate, Abdul El Sayed, has a 93% chance of winning the upcoming primary, while the establishment, or centrist candidate, Haley Stevens, is down to just a 7% chance. But things are constantly changing, and that's why Kalshi is such a great way to follow the future of politics. It's the first CFTC-regulated exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events, and if you go ahead and get the app on your phone or click the link in the description or pinned comment, and just use code BRADP, well, you'll be able to trade $20 free when you trade $20. Now, back to the show. Anyway, the update here, we got the headline from the New York Post, is that the WNBA has suspended the Seattle Storm co-owner for 5 games after her blow up with teenage Sophie Cunningham fans. And honestly, that seems to me like obviously the correct thing to do. I mean, the team did sort of apologize, but this co-owner behaved herself reprehensibly and does deserve to be punished and condemned for it. I'm old enough to remember when we expected adults to act like adults, or we expected Americans to be able to have civil disagreements civilly. Yet all over the internet, there are people attacking Sophie Cunningham brutally and calling her some sort of evil bigot because she has this, like, extremely uncontroversial opinion that's based in biological reality about trans women competing in women's sports. There's people who are saying, good, I'm glad these girls got harassed because, they shouldn't be comfortable with their bigotry and they were making the space unsafe for black people and trans people and all this ridiculous nonsense that just plays into the exact kind of fragility, safetyism BS that we're all so done with, and that I think has proven so toxic and so self-defeating and fuels this kind of victim narrative. It's actually not offensive to say that women's sports should be for biological women. It's not. If that triggers you, if that sends you into a rage, let alone prompts you to crash out on minors, then the problem is 1000% you. You belong in a padded room. You lack the proper functioning and resilience of an adult who, in the real world, typically you do as a functioning adult, sometimes encounter people with perspectives or opinions that are not your own. Anyway, I just find her so ridiculous, this co-owner that crashed out, and I'm glad she was punished for it. But she wasn't the only one. Some more footage that's now been leaked it shows other fans just, like, freaking out on these teenage girls. It's really disturbing stuff. Let's watch.
You leave my daughter alone. Go.
What is wrong with this?
She's a minor.
Oh my gosh.
Get up. Security. Garbage. Take the trash out. Take the trash out.
Oh my gosh. This guy is cussing out these teenagers and their parents and calling them trash and telling the staff to take the trash. What a jerk. Seriously, just because they have the bravery, apparently it requires bravery to say this in public in Seattle, which is itself absolutely insane, but because they have the bravery to say their opinion in a civil and respectful way, and it's not your personal opinion or it goes against your kind of deeply held feelings or something, you're a grown man, you're going to crash out like this. That is disgraceful. That man should also be banned for life from WNBA games or stadiums because, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be, clearly you can't conduct yourself or behave yourself. And he probably would have, in any other context, been ejected had he gone up and cussed out teenagers because of anything that they were wearing. Like, that is not normal, acceptable adult behavior. And I don't understand how we're still doing this, how we're even still having this debate when they've so thoroughly lost, or how you can so thoroughly lose a debate in the arena of public opinion and in the eyes and minds of 80+% of the public, and yet have the audacity to not only hold your opinion, which I guess, if you think being Delulu is a Salulu, knock yourself out. It's not for me. But but then to still treat the opinion that almost everyone holds as if it should be unutterable, or as if it like endangers people, or it's beyond the pale. It's really not, babe. And in fact, y'all just look crazy. You genuinely look deranged doing this kind of thing. And to me, it's not even really about the trans issue or trans athlete debate, which is obviously not insignificant, but this kind of thing really, the way that it turns into this unhinged culture war and has people behaving so irrationally and immaturely, gets to something deeper about how we've forgotten, or increasingly are just choosing not to, engage with each other in respectful ways and tolerate disagreement and sit with the existence of opinions and ideas that are not our own. And we see this with, rising support for political violence. We see this with people crashing out on each other and making these big scenes and behaving themselves in all sorts of inappropriate ways. But it's like, at the end of the day, if you want to live in a free society, a liberal democracy with robust freedom of speech, you have to accept that people are going to sometimes say and do things that offend you and hurt your feelings, and that you as an adult need to be resilient enough to sit with that without lashing out. Because once we start lashing out, it leads to this tit for tat culture war chaos, then is turning freaking WNBA games into a culture war battle zone instead of people just sitting, coexisting. Oh, no, I don't like their sign. Huh. Okay. Guess I'll keep looking at the game. It's really not that deep, actually, and y'all need to learn to cope. One final thing, Sophie Cunningham put out a post after this whole incident, and I really appreciated the tone she struck. She wrote on X, "I truly believe there is a safe space and love for everybody. Biological girls, biological boys, trans women, and trans men. Everyone is welcome at my table. You can disagree and still be kind. Bravo to those girls for standing up for what they believe. You'll be hearing from me soon. Yay for gifts. Truly embarrassing of the co-owner. Unfortunately shows the type of leader that she is." I really appreciated this from Sophie. She didn't, go all in on a right-wing political narrative or try to rebrand herself as some sort of conservative activist. She just stood on her belief, which is totally fair and reasonable, about a biology mattering in sports, and it should be separate. She demonstrated respect, suggested everyone should be welcomed at, her table or in the WNBA as fans or what have you. And yet she applauded those girls and hopefully does something nice to support them, because they didn't deserve any of this. This is really gross. I will say the biggest winner here has to be this athletics brand, the XXXY Athletics, because this story is going to go super viral. It already has. And they're getting so much free promotion and marketing, and so many people are going to look up this brand and support them. And you know what? Good for them. You deserve it. It's crazy that that's even a thing that you need to niche yourself on, because the other athletic brands, I guess, don't believe women's sports are just only for women. I mean, like Nike and all of that. I don't know, but whatever. I think that's a funny way that this backfired, right? Because you would think that from the perspective of this crazy co-owner or this woke man who crashed out, the last thing they would want to do is inject hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of free advertising into in their view, anti-trans clothing line. But that's exactly what they did with their bad behavior and immaturity, and I find that kind of hilarious. You love to see it backfire when people behave badly like this. Anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts on this whole situation. Kind of sad to me that we can't all just get along, even at freaking WNBA games. But anyway, shout out to Sophie Cunningham, shout out to those girls, and to the rest of y'all, learn to act right and calm down. That's my take, and I'm sticking to it. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed. If you aren't yet, do hit the like button, and consider becoming a channel member here on YouTube to support me. I call out the far left and the far right, and I try not to be partisan. You know, I'm not on Team Red or Team Blue. I just call it like I see it. It's unfortunately not always the best business model, so I do need support from viewers like you. Hit the join button or click that link to become a channel member and support me. And with that, guys, we'll leave it there for now. Be back with more real soon.